Hello, I'm Carl Keith, Montgomery County Auditor, and welcome to another episode of Auds and Ends. Auds and Ends is a program produced by the Montgomery County Auditor's Office where each month we interview individuals here who are working in the community, making a difference in the community, and we learn more about them. We get to meet them, learn more about them. We need to learn more about the organizations they're associated with and the work that they're doing in the community and what a difference they are making. And we're certainly pleased to have with us today someone who really is making a huge difference in the region, not just in Montgomery County, Dayton or Montgomery County, but throughout the region. That's Brian Martin is here with us today. Brian, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Carl, for inviting me.
Appreciate you being here. Brian is the Executive Director of the Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission. And so we're going to learn a lot more about the Regional Planning Commission today and the work that it does. You know, I think the MVRPC, Brian, see if you agree with me on this, the auditor's office is a mystery to a lot of people. You know, I mean, they may see my stickers on a gas pump or something, or, you know, if they have a dog, may know nothing about dog license. But most of the work of the auditor's office is kind of secret, is kind of unknown and confusing, and so it's always good to explain what we do and everything. So we're going to do a little bit of that with MVR, because I'm assuming you find that same thing with MVRPC.
Absolutely. What are these 5 letters? What is an MVRPC?
What does that mean?
So, yes, exactly.
Now, you've been the executive director for
11 years.
For 11 years, 2013.
Yeah, going on 12, yeah.
So how did you get there, and what was life for Brian Martin before the MVRPC?
Wow, that's a great question, Carl. And by the way, my staff do know who you are because your name is on our paycheck since our benefits go through Montgomery County.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah, they may not know exactly what you do, but they know that you're in the payment process.
They know that.
We appreciate you for that.
Thank you.
Regional planning has been my career love. 35 years or so in the field. And I applied for this job in 2012 off of a national search.
Okay.
I was nearby in Indianapolis working as a consultant in the civil engineering industry. And my wife and I and kids decided, well, it'd be nice to get back to Ohio.
Okay.
We had been in Indianapolis for about 5 years.
You're an Ohio native.
I'm a Kentucky native.
Ah, okay.
So, yeah, I'll get there. But,
Okay.
Ohio's been like a second home to me. My kids were born over in Columbus, and just applied to this job and got it from a national search. And it's been a great run. But, city and regional planning throughout my career, working with local governments, working with the contractors and consultants in the industry, and a lot of public service. About half of my time was in private consulting and then public service when I started in 2013. And now, after 11 years, I'm mostly in public service. But Western Kentucky University grad, go Hilltoppers.
Hilltoppers.
Undergraduate and master's degree back in the late 80s. But city and regional planning ever since. So it's been a good run.
You mentioned payroll. Our payroll manager is a Hilltopper.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, he's a Hilltopper.
I know we're up here. Yeah, that's great.
So is that the area of Kentucky? You say you're a Kentucky native. Is that where you're from?
I'm from, Western Kentucky.
Western Kentucky.
We have a farm in Greenville, Kentucky.
Okay.
So I'm a farmer. I'm president of our board of directors. Our farm was incorporated back in the 80s.
Okay.
My dad was one of 17 siblings.
Okay. Wow.
So his fear was that the farm would be cut up among everybody, and with double wides or people building their own home or whatever on the property. So they incorporated it so that way the farm stays intact as one unit. Yeah. And then we're able to lease it to farmers that are nearby for corn and soybeans. So it's been a good arrangement. We make enough through our leases to pay our taxes.
Pay your taxes and things. Oh, well, they're good for you.
So it's a great thing.
So. I mentioned that because I wasn't born or raised in Kentucky, but my family's from there. You know, I was my family's part of the Great Migration, you know, after
Yes.
World War II that came up north, and
Yes.
some members of my family made it all the way to Detroit.
Oh, wow.
But most of them
Yeah.
ended up in Hamilton and Middletown, that
Yeah.
area. Yeah.
Well, this area was awesome, and the same is true for my family. So my dad had a lot of siblings, and most of them didn't want to be farmers.
Okay.
So a lot of them came to Louisville, and then Cincinnati, and then also Dayton.
Looking for work.
And Springfield, you know, International Planner, Wright Pat, or
Right.
GM here.
Right.
So same thing.
Yep.
Yeah, the Great
Yep.
Migration.
So you've been at the MVRPC now for
11 plus years.
11 years.
Yeah.
So I know this is going to be a wide open question, but again, a lot of people don't know what MVRPC is
Yeah.
or what it does. So can you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about what the MVRPC does for the community?
Absolutely. MVRPC is Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission. This year we're celebrating 60 years old.
Wow. Okay.
So it's a year older than I am, 1964. And I'm the 6th executive director. And so primarily we are a metropolitan planning organization involved in transportation planning. Most of our budget comes from the gas tax as people gas up. For federal funding, the funds go to Washington, then they come to Columbus, then they come to Dayton. They come to regions like MVRPC. Ohio has 24 regional planning commissions that do what we do. Nationally, there's about 400 so every city of any size that you can think of has a sister agency to MVRPC.
And when you say regional, so it's not just Montgomery County.
That's right. It's 6 counties that we work in, from Montgomery County all the way up to Shelby County and Sidney. We just added them as a member.
Okay.
They're very interested in the river and the trails, and so that connects all of us. Miami County, Green, Dark, Preble, Northern Warren. So it's 6 counties plus. And that's why we have 96 board members. So we get together monthly, and it's just a lot of fun, and we have a succinct agenda, and we get a lot of work done. So.
You have 96 board members.
96.
Well, that ought to be an interesting monthly meeting.
It always is, but they trust us. They we set the agenda, and they provide comment, and they're from every side, every shade of the political spectrum. Urban, ex-urban, rural, suburban, and all that brings.
So the board members are all elected officials?
Primarily. We've got about 60 elected officials. I'm very thankful that our founding fathers put that in our bylaws, that each jurisdiction must be represented by an elected official. The alternate can be, the city manager or another council member. But, yeah, a lot of mayors, commissioners, very active, and others that are elected officials.
So am I right by saying a lot of federal funding, transportation dollars,
Transportation dollars primarily.
You facilitate that?
We do. Okay. It's about $28 million each year. Very happy for the bipartisan infrastructure law that was passed about 3 years ago. That increased our budgets by about 25%. From the federal funding, and then of course Ohio matches the federal funds, and then our member dues that we charge, that provides another source of match for the federal funding. But our board primarily within our urban counties makes the decisions on those $28 million and funds various projects around the region.
Those projects don't happen overnight.
No.
Those things are planned out well
We
in
are
the
the planning
future. So that,
That's
so
right.
there's plans made and strategic decisions made.
That's right.
Years in advance.
Yes.
So
10 to 12 years it takes from concept, a marker on the back of an envelope, to getting detailed plans done, getting through the environmental process, and putting out the bid for contractors, and then one day being built. So it takes a while.
This work that we see around in the community, like I-75 corridor here, and you're involved in that at some point. At some point you were.
At least from concept, anyway. We're the planning commission, so our members have engineers and design staff, and they hire consultants to help them with developing those projects. And same for ODOT. ODOT, the State Department of Transportation, oversees a lot of these, and they make sure that our members hire good consultants. They're all pre-qualified and capable of doing the work. So it's a process, and it's our honor to be involved in it.
You alluded to this earlier. So it's not just cars.
No,
It's not just cars and roadways. I mean, you're involved in like
trails.
all kinds of transportation.
Oh,
trails,
yeah.
bike trails, and
Yeah.
other things as well.
We're very excited about the fact that we have the nation's largest paved trail network right here in Dayton, Ohio, in the greater Miami Valley region. So 350 miles plus of connected trails. And we are the envy of the country. Wherever I go, I talk about that, and some dispute it because they're like, Dayton, Ohio, come on. I mean, we're Philadelphia, we're Denver. We have more trails than that. Yeah, but are they paved trails?
Okay.
So by being paved, that means that we probably used highway dollars. We flexed federal highway dollars from highways over to bikes so that those could be built. So we partner with our park districts, Miami Conservancy District, and others to make sure that we have a great connected trail system.
This work is part of an environmental awareness, consciousness, right? I mean, and so you recently participated in the National Air Quality Awareness Week.
Yes.
What kinds of things
Oh,
gets involved in with that?
Well, we always try to get people ready for smog-type conditions that make it hard to breathe as temperatures rise, as humidity levels rise, and we have a lot of that
going on right now
in the Miami
right?
Valley. So those that are susceptible to getting sick, has respiratory issues or whatever, it's a good way of letting everybody know that they need to be mindful of that. So perhaps don't work in the heat of the day. Maybe do some things later in the day, like fueling up your car and things like that, so that we can reduce pollution across our region.
That's one of the things that my weights and measures folks have to be conscious of and aware, because they do a lot of the gas pump inspection stuff that they do in the summer.
That's right.
But there will be ozone alerts and things like that, and so if they have to find other things to do, they don't go out and test the gas during those times. We're very conscious of that. So we just, this year was the 5th anniversary of the Memorial Day tornadoes.
Yeah.
And I know you were involved in some of the efforts after that, the recovery efforts. Want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, thank you, Carl, for bringing that up. Yeah, 5 years. We've been talking about Xenia in 50 years.
Yeah.
But here we are 5 years, and we were asked to be involved because there were multiple tornadoes that hit multiple counties, and we're the only functioning multi-county organization here in the Miami Valley. At least we say that. We feel that we and so when those tornadoes hit, Montgomery, and Greene and Miami, they're our core membership for urban counties, and so it made sense for us to be involved. Each county has a emergency medical capability and disaster capability. Each individual county has that, but they do talk together, but they're not used to coordinating with one another, and so that was the benefit of having MVRPC as a regional planning commission to be involved. And it came in really handy with not on the first response level, but later in terms of tracking the recovery and making sure that everything was rebuilt. We're very happy about our dashboards that we developed with mapping technology. As our members gave us data on recovery, we've mapped those. And it's been a journey and a process, but it's great that we're 97% recovered. And most of those are, insurance claims, and the insurance companies did well across various communities like Trotwood or Dayton or Riverside or Beaver Creek or whatever, wherever. And that was great to see that happen. But there's still a lot of, remnants from those storms from 5 years ago. If you see that in the tree canopy, you see that in a lot of commercial buildings or multifamily buildings that the landlord may have said, it's just not worth it to me, I'm not going to rebuild. And so that's really unfortunate. So now we're helping our communities really with planning. So Harrison Township, Dayton, Trotwood in particular, they were the hardest hit.
Sure.
Trying to figure out what's next. What are the best uses for these parcels now? They may have been commercial or residential. So what should they be now to benefit their regions? What does their region need? What does their community need as they look ahead? And so we've been helping them with that. We've been able to attract about $45 million in federal Department of Commerce funds to our region, primarily for infrastructure projects, water and sewer primarily. But we've also been able to have a staff person here that's helped us with looking at that coordination and helping the coordination to occur as we recover and as we increase our resiliency. So we're coming to the end of that period. Those funds will end this year, but it's been great to help our members and work with them on some great planning projects.
I can appreciate that work quite a bit, and I know our two organizations, my office and your folks, have worked in the past on GIS development and geographical information system development, sharing of flyovers and that type of information that we use, and so when those tornadoes went through, that was an important part for us. We were in the midst of doing a update of property values, and having those aerial images was important to us. We had to refly that area that had been damaged, and so it was that became an important resource and tool for all of us.
That was critical. You were looking at property values. We were conducting the national census, for the 2020 census, and I still look at those numbers kind of with a little bit leery, because there were so many things happening leading up to the actual census being taken. So many folks were transient, and were living temporarily, and even though they could be counted in their native community, I don't think that always happens. So I'll be glad when we're doing the 2030 census, and hopefully we won't have all of these other things going on.
It was really critical for school districts.
Absolutely.
Really critical for school districts where these students were actually living and going to school. And
I'm sure your watchers know that population is so critical to determining federal funding, state funding, local funding.
Local government
It's just
fund.
so important. And if you're losing even 500 people or 100 people, it still could have a big impact on the schools and Adamus and a lot of the services that we count on.
In conversations with some of the schools during that period, they were going down. I remember one of us said they were sending buses down to as far away as West Carrollton and Miamisburg to pick up students they were going to Trotwood,
right,
but they were living with relatives in those communities.
Sure.
So they were traveling down there to pick them up and bring them back to school. Bring them to school every day. So people don't realize
that's the right thing to do.
It is, and it's one of
expensive.
those things that. When we talk about recovery, people don't realize what that means. We said at the time, we were talking about years. You're talking about years to recover from something like you mentioned the tree canopy. We still hear from people about how the trees are gone from there, and it affects their property value.
Absolutely.
Not having those trees.
Absolutely.
Well, I've been to a couple of events recently where you have been recognized for your leadership and your work in the community. I was at the United Way event that they had at Sinclair not too long ago, and then more recently at the Miami Valley Urban League, where you were recognized as a pillar in the community. Do you want to talk about those awards a little bit and what they mean to you?
Well, like most of us, it's hard to it's difficult
brag on yourself
when the lights are on you. In terms of being recognized. It just means a lot to me to be recognized as a pillar for excellence in governance by the United Way. It's just been wonderful to be recognized, and I really love this community. It's kind of like my fourth or fifth community that I've lived in, but I think I've been here almost as long as my native Kentucky. But I just love the region, and I put in a lot of work and service even beyond what I get paid to do, and these are two organizations that I care a lot about. So to be recognized is really, really amazing.
You're on the United Way board.
I am.
So that's important.
I helped in the transition in executive directors and some of the staff and the board. So People don't give the way they used to give in terms of payroll deduction, and so there's several events coming up, and hopefully the community will be out to help us with those.
Changes in the federal
Yes.
law on charitable contributions, I'm sure, has had an impact on every
sure.
nonprofit.
No doubt about that. But no, it's an honor to give back and to help those. We really can't succeed unless all of us are succeeding. You know that, Carl.
Right.
And it's just really important, and it's great that we're bringing jobs, to the Miami Valley and Ohio. But where are the people going to come from? And so that's the importance of retraining, and that's the importance of childcare, so that mom or dad can get out and get to work. The importance of education and degree and all that to make sure they're skilled up. So yeah, it's just really important that we're all working together.
Under your leadership, MVRPC has been focused on racial equity.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about some of those efforts?
Yeah.
It's important.
2019 was just it seems like yesterday, but a lot of things happened, and that was ahead of the pandemic. That's also when we formed our Institute for Livable and Equitable Communities. And it's focused on regional equity. Race is a part of it, but as we look at the data, there's rural poverty as well. There's the widower that's trying to keep the farm, or the widow that's trying to keep the farm, and they're farther from services, and so it's just hard to get, what they need, if they need transportation to get to the doctor or to get to the supermarket or whatever. So regional equity is a big issue for our region, and we just want to make sure that everybody is lifted up. We've attracted some federal grants to this process. We have a full-time staff person on this as well. So the Regional Equity Initiative is really important. We also have the Age-Friendly Initiative, which is making sure that everybody, regardless of their age, seniors included, have access to the services that they need. Our range of motion is not what it used to be. It's great to have sidewalks. Not everybody can drive. What about our transit services? Is it well connected? Access to our trails network and getting to the doctor, all those things are important no matter where you live. So it's been our honor to partner with the Dayton Foundation on this. They've raised some private funds, which give us some flexibility. We can match those with grant funds as well through federal or state. And it's just been a great effort to be involved in so many different things.
Let's talk about the future.
Yeah.
You mentioned some of these projects take 10, 12 years
Right.
in the making. So what types of things are you looking out into the future and working on now?
Well, yeah. I mean, really maintaining our system first and foremost, and we're focused on safety. We're going to start a safety study here in the next 3 to 4 months, looking at our region and identifying a new list of projects from a safety standpoint, so that we can minimize fatalities and make sure that we're using technology as much as we can in our infrastructure projects. So that's really important. But yeah, making sure that the connections work well to 75, to 70, making sure 70 is fully widened to 3 lanes across Ohio in each direction.
It's a crossroads of America here,
that's right? Exactly right. Yeah, we're very proud of that. Being Midwesterners, we don't brag on ourselves or promote that nearly enough. But I think that's just the huge opportunity of being here in the Miami Valley, in the middle of everything. I think from Indianapolis to Columbus to Detroit, to Cincinnati and South. So yeah, we are literally in the crossroads of America. So it's great. It's been great to see our region, have employers coming in the distribution area in particular, light manufacturing, warehousing. So that's exciting. And so I'm just really optimistic about our future. But transportation is the backbone of that system, and we're going to maintain what we have. As there's new development, we're going to look at the Wilmington 675 interchange area, Centerville and Sugar Creek Township are really interested in seeing that intersection get improved so that more development can come. Looking closer to Wright-Patterson, Colonel Glenn, making sure that area is functioning well, as well, our priorities, as well as our airport, and making sure that Vandalia doesn't get too much truck traffic on 40. That those trucks can get to, which we all hear about, in Vandalia. We don't want, the spillover to happen in our neighboring communities around our airport. That has a lot of room for growth. So we want to make sure that there's a harmony and a balance there as well. Oh, and flying vehicles. Yes.
Flying vehicles. Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Everybody has heard about the DDC's, recent announcement, State of Ohio's announcement with all of that. But we're also looking at package delivery and how are those, flying taxis going to work in our communities? Where are they going to be able to land?
Ah, good point.
We have heliports here, but not so many, and those are prioritized for airlifts for hospital or police or whatever. So we need more of those in our communities. So what's the zoning for a heliport or for a pad like that?
Yeah.
And so we're taking a look at that as well. We're working with our communities to make sure that all of that can be accommodated in the future.
Wonderful, Brian. I knew we'd learn a lot today, and the time flies with this. Whenever we do one of these programs, I want to thank you for being our guest.
Yeah.
And thank you for the work that you're doing in the MVRPC. It's an important responsibility, and I'm glad that we were able to have an opportunity to kind of educate and inform the public on what it is you're doing.
It's been a joy, and the time goes by fast, like you said, but it was a wonderful conversation, and thanks for inviting me.
Thank you. That's going to wrap us up for this month's episode of Odds and Ends. We'll see you the next time. Thank you very much for joining us.